Hi, friends. This is Wendy Harrop, and welcome to the Say Yes to Yourself podcast. On the Say Yes to Yourself podcast, you'll hear stories from women just like us who are adding the practice of saying yes in their daily lives in big and small ways, and as a result, are experiencing the truth that everybody wins when you say yes to yourself. Saying yes to yourself is a graceful unfolding, an intentional becoming of the very best version of you. It is my hope that in these conversations, we are able to find our truth and be inspired and empowered to live our very best lives. I'm so excited to go on this journey with you, and I look forward to finding a bit of our own story in each other's. Bonjour, mon ami. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm so happy to have you here. I am clearly still in France, living my best life ever. I just can't even believe how saying yes to myself has changed everything. So this week I am receiving new guests just this morning for our Paris and Normandy trip. I have beautiful women coming. We will be cooking. We will be visiting brocantes. We will be eating, shopping, walking all over the place just while we're in Paris. And then we head off to Normandy for an amazing few days visiting a very large annual brocante and sourcing fabulous antiques to bring home and relish in the memories of this great trip. And this trip in particular has been very, very special for me. I had a very significant experience last week, one that if you've been around here for a while, know that it has been a long time coming. So, in case you're wondering, this is what freedom sounds like. I am officially divorced. I am so delighted that I took my virtual court appearance call on Zoom, sitting in my beautiful friend's beautiful home in beautiful rural France in this tiny village, Saint-Cyr-de-Bellu. I can't say that properly yet, but I'm going to keep practicing, in Normandy. Just such a beautiful, restorative, gorgeous, expansive, dreamy week of planning the rest of my life. And I'm so excited that the podcast is such a beautiful part of that. And I've been so encouraged along this 3.5-year journey toward finalizing my divorce. That's a whole nother show. We can talk about that later. But I'm just obsessed with the woman I've become in the process. I'm glad it took as long as it took because I'm so happy with who I am in this moment. And I'm thrilled to continue to share these stories and to continue to introduce you to amazing women that are saying yes to themselves in big and small ways. I have loved these conversations. I have loved meeting these women, becoming friends with them, and then sharing these beautiful conversations with you. And I think today's guest has about the dreamiest life I've ever witnessed. And that's saying something because I think my life is very dreamy. But today we have Nancy De Losa. Okay. Just imagine splitting your time between two of the world's most beautiful countries, cycling through Italy's rolling hills one month and soaking up Melbourne's coffee culture the next. For Nancy De Losa and her husband, this isn't just a dream, it's their reality. They are the founders of a boutique Italian cycling tour company. They've built a life that seamlessly blends their passion for cycling, travel, and entrepreneurship spending half the year in each location. In Italy, their days revolve around cycling, hiking, and indulging in the best of Tuscan food and wine while hosting immersive cycling tours. They even purchased and restored a 900-year-old apartment within a historic palazzo in Chianti, Tuscany. Oh, my word. When they return to Australia, their focus shifts to spending time with family and friends and working on the business rather than in it. Their biggest takeaway, bringing the Italian ethos home with them, embracing a slower pace, appreciating simple pleasures, and finding balance between work and life. I mean, where do we sign up for Nancy's fabulous life? I am so excited to share this beautiful, expansive conversation with the very lovely Nancy De Losa.
Nancy, I've already decided that you're one of my favorite humans, and I'm so excited for this conversation. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Wendy, so much for having me. I'm very excited.
It's going to be so fun. And listener, I can't even wait for you to hear how fabulous Nancy's life is. I mean, you thought your life was fabulous. I thought my life was fabulous, but I think Nancy has one-upped all of us. Please tell us how you are saying yes to yourself in this season.
Yeah, so Wendy, I think one of the things I must say that I love about that question is that you mentioned the season. And it was something that I reflected on because I do believe we say yes differently in different seasons.
And I think there are many seasons of a woman's life. It doesn't even mean spring, summer, autumn, and winter.
Yeah. So talking about that, I'm at a stage in life which, as us women hit our 50s, and I think you really reflect on what's important and, what's not important anymore. And the whole letting go phase and peeling back the onion is just such a wonderful phase of life. And I'm just really saying yes to every element of that because I'm just loving actually letting go of weight, of things that no longer serve me. And recently,
Yes.
I think what was so interesting coming to the notion of the typical season being, I guess spring and summer or what have you, is that we live 2 summers. And so we don't really see too much of winter. And we do often reflect on it because I think there is something about the seasons that does bring a different energy to you. And anyway, we arrived to Tuscany 6 weeks ago after our stint in Australia, and it was really quite cold. And I started out feeling a bit angsty with the fact that it was cold because I'm not used to being cold. And then I just accepted and said yes to winter and said, this is a time for wintering. This is a time for just coming in to myself and processing where I am. I did a lot of journaling. We spent a couple of weeks at home, which is just so luxurious for us. And we just had this beautiful time of just saying yes to ourselves, really, my husband and myself. And, I think what that meant was creating space for myself, just allowing myself to be and do whatever I wanted for those couple of weeks and not feeling I had to be anywhere or be seeing anybody, which I think is always a wonderful experience. And as I said, I journaled a lot. So it was a real time, a seasonal time of wintering, and a very beautiful time because I can really feel this change going on in me that I'm just so embracing and loving growth that goes with it as well. So yeah,
Oh my
seasonally,
gosh.
it feels
I
like
was
there's lots of seasons going on.
right. I was right. You are one of my favorite humans. Oh my gosh. All of the words that are falling out of your mouth. I would say that. Oh, I would say that too. Oh, I like her so much because you remind me of me.
Yeah, I know. When I was reading something about you, I thought, she sounds like me.
So fun. I love that. Oh my gosh. It's such a gorgeous rendezvous. Okay. So you are living this beautiful experience. I love your reference to the seasons in that you're so cute with your 2 week winter. And I live in Massachusetts now, but I grew up in California. I grew up in Southern California, and then I lived in Northern California for about 15 years before I moved to Massachusetts. And growing up, fall was kind of a decision that you made. It wasn't something that, anything was changing outside, and I would be very frustrated that I would be picking out my pumpkins, sweating, because it's time for tall brown boots and sweaters. So I very much love my New England life now. But what I have found is that with distinct seasons, it actually for me makes it feel like the time goes faster because it's every 3 months there's a new thing. So right now at the time of this recording, sorry listener to out myself, but we are transitioning into spring, and
Yeah.
it's so fascinating because I I like a slower transition because I'm eager for that, but it kind of accelerates the to-do list. It's like, oh, there were some things that were on my winter list that I haven't finished yet. I need to do that. And then spring is one of those seasons here that comes rather quickly,
Yeah.
and just like a toddler getting up from a nap and has all sorts of energy, that's what this property does as well. And everything just starts growing and comes alive very quickly. And I am called outdoors and away from my desk more often, which is welcomed and also, oh gosh, who's going to
Yeah.
do all the stuff I've been doing inside for all these months?
Yeah. Yeah. Which actually reflecting on that as you talk about that, that's how we feel about being on tour and off tour is
Right.
our life is the seasonal nature of just week on and week off. And, we always go into a tour saying, gee, if we had one more day, and, you always want that one more day. I'm hearing you say, if only I could have a couple more weeks of winter to just get ready. But
Right.
no, that's not life, is it? And
No, and I would need a couple more weeks at the end of spring when summer's
exactly.
coming, and then I'm going to need a couple more weeks yeah. So it would just
Yeah.
be, I think it's interesting. I'm wondering actually, am I being called to do more, to be more scheduled, or am I being called to do less better? Am I being called to um, invite and receive support? Am
Yeah.
I being called to change the way I look at this? Because the passing of time is not going to be changing. So I'm pretty sure I'm being called to make a course correction and adjust in some way.
Yeah, and I think sometimes for me, because I often reflect on that too, is this really where I want to be? Is this really what I want to be doing? That because everybody, as you rightly explained, we do have a wonderful life, but it has its challenges as well, right? So it doesn't
Sure.
matter what life you live. There are seasons to every life, and whatever you call a season, as I said, I could call it on tour, off tour, I could call it Australia, Italy, I could call it the actual natural seasons. Whatever it is, it means change.
Yeah.
And change is hard. And change, you need to be, I was reading something recently and I just really love that whole just show up, like just
Right.
show up for change. So
Yeah.
I'm probably reflecting on this conversation with you also, Wendy. I really reflected on that whole notion of, I think I've always just been one of those people that has embraced change.
Mhm.
I've never been scared of it. I've always taken it on. It doesn't mean it's easy.
Right.
It doesn't mean that you do less or you do more. It's just embracing what it is,
Yeah.
whatever's happening. And I think that can mean different things at different times. So that sense of calling as to what should I be doing now? I think that's what I'm feeling at the moment is I'm so much
Right.
more in tune with. I'm just feeling as I'm getting a little bit older and I don't know if it's, going through life stages as a woman and I don't know, you just become so much more aware
Mm.
of those little voices calling you and, calling you
Yes.
to change or calling you to slow down or calling you to take care of yourself or calling you to get out and be adventurous and take the risk, whatever it is.
Yes. Oh, I agree.
Yeah. So I'm actually really enjoying that.
Right.
But, I think to enjoy it, I need space. And
Mm.
that's why I think I really loved that. I know you laughed at my
Yeah.
2 weeks of
No,
wintering.
it was cute. It was cute because that's about how much space you can handle,
Yeah.
right?
And I actually could have handled more. Actually,
Oh,
when
good.
the came that we needed to get up and leave because we had to go and do some recceing, it was like, oh, I'm not ready to go. And it's like, okay, just get up and go, do what you need to do, So
Also, what a beautiful awareness.
yeah,
Oh, I love how this stage of our life and of our evolution and our own development is calling us to be present and
yeah,
to, of course, use the tools that we have that we've collected along the way, but also permission to course correct. I don't have to enter the next season the way that I have traditionally entered them. I
yeah,
get to ask my like what am I being called to? What does today want from me? And
yeah,
what do I want from today? And how can we collaborate in a
yeah,
way that has us both feeling fulfilled at the end of it?
yeah. Absolutely. And I think it is that presence and that, having that space to just wake up in the morning and not be, first thing on your phone. Actually, I take time to get into the day and, I do some yoga and some reflection time. And yeah, I find that really, really important to help me navigate this really what is never ending change. Really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I read once that change is only fun to the person whose idea it was. So it's
Yeah.
when other people are at the mercy of your proclamation of what's
Yeah.
no longer in service, that there can be some growing pains as they adjust and turn that into their own narrative and what that looks like. But I love what you mentioned about your morning practice. I also have morning practice, and I would say in retrospect, that changed my life. And then I
Yeah.
would say this online business course that I took in January 2020 changed my life. Like all of these things were the cooperative components that came together for the change that was brewing in my life already. And those are just the markers of, oh, yeah, that was a milestone. Of course, the pandemic happened
Yeah.
like right after I began this process and had met all these beautiful female entrepreneurs that we were already meeting on Zoom 3 times a week. So when the world shut down, our personal world that we had only just started a few months before continued and grew and expanded in this global vacuum
Yeah.
that was created. I sorry everybody, but I felt like it was just for me that all the things that happened in my life that were nurtured during that time of not really being allowed to do things the way that I had been doing them
Yeah.
just created this gorgeous launch pad for the woman that I am now. And I am never going back.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what's so beautiful, Wendy, is when you do look back. I mean, I know we all had our challenges through COVID,
Yeah.
but I think when you look at stages like that in your life, whether it's forced upon you or whether it's, self-enforced, is to just look back and say, wow, that happened for that reason, or
Yeah.
that plus that is what contributed to this. And yeah, it's a beautiful process of being aware, I think, and, becoming even more aware and more trusting as well of
Hmm.
your instincts and just listening to those little signs that happen along the way that you go, okay, that's the navigation path that I need to take. Okay, that sounds right. So yeah, I think
Right.
it's a really beautiful journey, isn't it?
It is. And I'm really interested, Nancy, to know. I'll tell you why I'm asking this question. Like I said, this vacuum has been created, a vacuum from other people coming into the space during the pandemic, but then my marital status changed as a result of all of these cooperative components coming together. And I I still feel that I have created a really beautiful environment for my continued growth, in that I live on a small flower farm and I am busy on this property, and I have stone walls that you can see over, so I can see life happening, but none of it is getting in my way.
Yeah.
And I'm very selective of who I talk to. I have these gorgeous, expansive conversations with women all over the globe. It's brilliant. And I'm raising a daughter, an 11-year-old. So I'm still kind of the boss of that,
Yeah.
so I'm wondering, all that long way to ask you, how are you navigating this presence and this awareness and this continuous checking in with yourself and what feels in alignment, while in partnership and in business with another human? Asking for a friend.
Yeah. I feel incredibly blessed, and it's a journey, right? So, when Damien and I first set out together as a couple, firstly, and then, I made the decision that I was going to join him in the business, and he said, "Oh, what will we do?" And I said, "I don't know, but it will happen. It will come." And we just went on our path. Now, that wasn't an easy transition by any stretch.
Oh,
And I think the thing that's been so incredible is how he also has really embraced the whole journey of self-awareness for himself. It's very beautiful. And I mean, I know us as women, we're probably a little bit more, inclined to go down that path of self-awareness and really wanting to understand ourselves. I think also our bodies change, so much changes that we need to be aware. But he has just embraced this very beautiful journey alongside me for himself. And he's had his own, healing to go through and his own challenges to overcome as we've trotted along this path together. And it's definitely not easy, but it's very beautiful and very rewarding for both of us. And so I think that's what we have, our go-to place that we always come back to, which is that we really respect that we're different, and we're really
mm,
absolutely different people. And we, in so many ways, but we are very complementary. And I think it's that respect for each other's differences that, we've really grown into. I'm not going to say to anybody that that just happens overnight. Maybe
right.
sometimes it does, but for us it didn't. But it's that growing and that learning alongside somebody who's on that journey with you for themselves as well. So
Yes.
not because you want them to do it, because
Right.
they're going through their own healing journey. So I think that's what guides us always. We have our moments where, we just say, "Hey, I need an hour to myself," or go for a bike ride because I just need some time. All of those types of things happen. Of course, I think we all need space and we all need some boundary around ourselves, particularly when we're together so much. But we're so respectful of that space for each other.
Oh, it's
And
so beautiful.
yeah, so it's a very beautiful relationship and very beautiful growth experience that happens for both of us personally as much as it does with us in the business together.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so tell me about the business and how it changed with you adding yourself into it.
Yeah, so Damien, we met, and Damien had a cycling clothing business. So he had jumped out of the advertising world and career that he had and started his own business. And I had always had this entrepreneurial spirit, but never quite got to the point of, creating a business myself. And anyway, we got together. Well, actually, one of the first conversations we had was he said to me, "Oh, are you Italian?" And I said, "Yeah, I am. I have Italian parents and I've been brought up very much in an Italian lifestyle in Australia." And he said, "Oh, I've always wanted to live in Italy." And I said, "Me too." And
Oh,
that was kind of
yay.
the seed. Yeah. And I then went on to say, actually what my ideal would be to live 6 months in Australia and 6 months in Italy, because I've always been very close to my family and friends. And, I really love those relationships and I love keeping them intact. And so, yeah, that was just a seed that was planted. I mean, who knew that within 12 months we'd be married and within 2 years we'd be going overseas, and I would then, and I was, I had a career and I loved my job, and we headed off on this trip overseas, and I said to Damien, you know, I love my job. I almost didn't want to leave. And then something just happened. We came back from Italy and I said to him, I don't want to do this anymore. I didn't meet you and I didn't create the life that we're now creating together to spend my life, half of my life away from you, because I was traveling quite a bit with my job.
Oh my
And he said,
gosh, I have to pause you for 1 second there. I love that so much because that's when we are able to make these aligned decisions is you loved your job and that's what prepared you to see what you want more of. When we hate where we are and we make a change because we just want, you know, we think this is going to be better, we take ourselves with us and we
yeah,
take our level of consciousness with us to that
yeah.
place. So the fact that you were way up here in loving this allowed you to see something better and you were the vibrational match of this new thing.
I
So
love that,
good.
Wendy. Thank you. I have
Of
never actually
course.
reflected on it like that. And because I always think, wow, what was it in me that just like switched, you know? And as you say, it's that vibrational energy very much so. And I've
Yeah.
never quite reflected on it like that. So
You
thank
were a
you.
magnet for jobs that you love. So when a new
Yeah.
idea for a job that you love came, you were ready.
Yeah. And so I said to Jamie, I'm going to join you in the business. And that's when he said, what will we do? And anyway, the following year, so I joined him and I worked with him in the cycling clothing business, and I still did a little bit of consulting and I couldn't quite let go of it properly. And then we went overseas and Damien did a bike ride in Tuscany, which is in our hometown, which is where we live now. And yeah, he did this bike ride, wrote a blog about it, and we had guests write to us and say, that looks amazing. Do you take tours? And we looked at
Sure,
each
we
other.
do.
Yeah, over a spritz, and we said, maybe we do. So all
Love
of a
it.
sudden, yeah, things were opening up and we just said yes. So talk about saying yes. Yeah. And that was really the change of our life and the start of this whole journey. And we're now almost 10 years into this journey.
Oh my
And,
gosh.
you know, we're just right at a very pivotal point as well where things are starting to open up and I feel I want to open up to the next level. We want to pivot. We want to do things a little bit differently. So it's a really exciting time of just though letting it unfold. So that was the other thing I was going to say about the last few weeks has been such a, you know, that sense of flow when you just think, I just will trust what comes. Let's
Mhm.
not let's not make any really hard decisions. And you know, obviously we have to do quite a bit of planning and logistics work with what we do. And often, you know, we're so well, I think when it feels right, we create, you know, plans. But we were leaving Australia and we're like, what are we going to do for the 8 weeks before we start tours? And where are we going to start? We knew we wanted to create some new tours for next year for 2026, but we had no idea where. And we were grappling with all these different places and we're like, no, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. Let's just let it come to us. Let's just go and be in the space in Italy and see what comes. And what's come is completely different to what we had envisaged. So,
Wow.
yeah, and our whole 6 to 8 weeks has been very much this space of just being in the flow and seeing what comes, saying yes to what feels right and going with it. And just that whole unraveling journey is just, it's wonderful and it feels great. And, you know, also embarking on this journey with podcasts and our PR campaign and meeting amazing people like yourself and others, it's just such a world opening experience, you know? I think you
Yes.
get so caught up doing what you do. So I really congratulate you on what you do because I think to be so connected to so many amazing people and having amazing conversations all the time is so rewarding.
I'm
And
obsessed. It's why I really don't desire to not be in this vacuum I created,
yeah,
but it's still it's interesting
yeah,
and it's all here for us. Just in the way that you approached this, what is 2026 going to look like for us, what will the tours look like, and to come at it with this beginner's mind of whatever the universe has for us, let's find out, and that it's been this beautiful graceful unfolding. And when we approach something like that, we need to switch something up, and we're like, oh, but how are we going to do this? And then how is this going to work? And then even when you have these beautiful aligned plans, I don't know if this was what happened to you, but sometimes we can go, okay, but how are we going to like get people to do this? This is totally different than what we've ever done. And to just remember the beautiful exhale of a truth that the how is not our responsibility is so lovely and so refreshing. And that this yes that you both said to yourselves to just let it unfold, that yes is what unlocks the how. And then you
Yeah.
have this beautiful idea, oh, we'll be on podcast. And then you are now in the ears of all sorts of people that didn't know about you, including me. So I'm super excited. And
Yeah.
then it's just everyone is going to hear it at exactly the right time, and this sounds dreamy and exactly what I've been looking for, or this sounds dreamy and I never even thought I would want to do that until I heard it, and now I want to do it. And it's just, we get to be in this co-creative space. And when we remember that we're not doing this by ourselves, which usually comes with reflection, right? Because
Yeah.
like, oh, I remember this was this and this was this, and that's how that all worked together. And now here we are. Who knew? Well,
Yeah.
the universe knew. And
Yeah.
like they're just looking down, saying, oh my gosh, wait till you see what's around the corner. I'm so excited to see. It's really fun.
Yeah, because it's learning to trust the process and
Yeah.
trust what's coming is right for you.
Right. From a place of abundance instead of lack. Like you don't trust the process because it's going to be crappy. You trust the process because you're not going to get in the way and you'll get the good stuff.
Yeah. And I think it's a process, isn't it, Wendy? I think it's still, there's still lots of uncertainty that comes with that journey of trust. And there's still lots of courage that needs to be employed to take on the risk. Like there's a lot that goes with it. And sometimes I look back, 10 years ago and say, wow, like I wonder if I would do now what I did then. And, who knows whether I would or I wouldn't. But obviously, it's been a beautiful journey and I love it and I'm embracing every part of it. And I think just being right in this place right now of feeling this change, but allowing it to unfold rather than trying to control it or try to drive it is a really wonderful place to be. And then I think with Damien as well, the fact that we share that energy and share that approach, I guess he does as well. I mean, he's such a believer in it's all just going to be okay. It's all just going to work out. Don't worry about the number of website pages we have to create and tour itineraries we need to create. It's all just going to be okay.
Yeah.
And he just is he really brings that sense of ease. By get into a moment of, thinking, oh, wow, like how will we do all this,
Right. Especially if he's saying how easy it's going to be, you could fall into the trap of, oh gosh, now I need to lift his load too, because he just thinks this all just happens. But it's only going to happen
Yeah.
if I do twice as much work now.
Yeah, although he's into that real energy of
Right. No, it's true.
it doesn't always take a lot of work.
It doesn't at all. It's just our default,
Yeah.
things like, oh gosh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
lucky for you, Mr. Easy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know because people are saying that to me. My mantra for 2025 is let it be easy. And there are some other people that are trying to throw in some hard because they think
Yeah.
I'm not doing it right.
Yeah. And I think that's a really interesting place to be because I've always been had the to-do list and now I have a list, but I go, it's okay. If I don't get it done today, I'll get it done tomorrow. And, it really doesn't matter, but I've always been, no, I need to get it done today. And it would be at the cost of myself, of my own time or of something that I wanted to do for me. Whereas now I'm like, no, actually prioritizing me is most important and that will happen. And it's not going to affect anybody negatively if I don't do it right now. So it's just all those self-imposed rules almost that we put on ourselves as we're going through, life until you get to that place of going, no, I don't need to do this anymore. yes, say yes to me and say yes to, everything that it will serve me moving forward as opposed to not serve me.
Right. And everybody wins when we do that. And
Yeah.
that is mind bending
Yeah.
if you haven't tried it yet. But once you
Yeah.
do, you can't go back. I
It's
can't
incredible, isn't it?
unlearn it. Yes.
Yeah. And because I've always, because yeah, you think you're letting people down or you're not doing this
Mhm.
for them. And then you go, oh, actually, they just respond accordingly when you set this boundary or set this timeline that, suits you. People just respond.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
quite, I think you raised it earlier and it's so where we're at the moment, that vibrational energy and that attracting like vibration.
Yes.
Just, it's a very beautiful experience when you can feel it and see it unfolding. It's
Right.
quite remarkable.
Now, on your tours, how many people are you bringing with you?
So we have a maximum of 14 guests per
Okay.
tour.
So I love just like that energy vortex as well, because there are many bike tours, right?
Yeah.
But there's something about you two that are attracting these groups of people, and then you modeling this gorgeous life is unfolding in the beautiful way that it should, and we're here for it and we're enjoying it. Like
Yeah.
what a beautiful gift, far above cycling through the hills of Tuscany already. Like the things that aren't on the brochure
Yeah.
are such an up level for what you guys are doing.
Yeah. And I think, Wendy, that was what was a really interesting because Erin from Rhyme Generation approached me earlier in the year, one of those emails that you get. And I just had this moment of, no, this one deserves a response. And obviously, to your point about the right at the right time, the right people will come and I thought, no, we do have a lovely, a beautiful story that sits around our tours that is only told to our guests. So it's a very small group of people each year that get to share in our life and our experience and what we create. And I thought, no, it's time to tell it more broadly. It's time to get out there and share the story and share what we do beyond, because as you said, it is so much more than just a cycling tour. And there's so much more that goes with it, not just from in terms of our us and what we bring, but also what the group brings and the whole experience of sharing that experience in beautiful places with beauty all around you and trying amazing food, all of that that comes together, which is what we aim to curate and bring together. But the very natural process of what unfolds on a tour it's a really wonderful experience.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so tell us, give us the pitch. We're all in. Tell us everything.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting because to your point earlier, like there's so many people doing cycling tours in Italy.
Right. I lead culinary trips to France for solo female travelers,
Yeah.
and it's so dreamy and lovely. And about 14 of my friends also do that. And I think it's great because all
Yeah,
14 of us are friends and we all do the same things, but we're not the same people. So
exactly.
it's not the same experience.
Exactly. And I think that's probably the essence of what Damien and I have is that I'm not a cyclist. So I don't do any cycling. So very early on, I was, very much in this place of I need to ride a bike and I need to, I need to speak the language of cyclists. How can I possibly run a business with Damien without being a cyclist? And then I was on the yoga mat one day, and this is like, 10 years ago. And I just had this moment of, hang on, I can run a non-riding partner program. And that was kind of the genesis of what we offer, which not many do. Some say they do and do it in a different way. But ours is a very personal experience. So Damien leads the riding program each day and I lead a non-riding partner program.
I'm obsessed. This is so cool.
Yeah, it was really, I guess, born out of who we are and what we
Yeah.
love. But just because he's a cyclist and I'm not, like I, hike and do yoga and do Pilates and very active, and we both love to swim and both love Italy. There's a lot of commonality with what we have and what we share in terms of how we bring things together. And I think that's what's really important. So it was just last week we were doing a recce of, you look at the top 10 things to do in a place, and we kind of went and did one just to see what it was like. It was one of those Instagram savvy spots. And we both looked at each other and said, really? Like, this is so not what gets described in the brochures. And I would never include this on our tour. So I think it's having the courage to say no to the very common, experience as well. So I think we create from a very authentic place of what we love. And sometimes that sounds like it's selfish. Sometimes it feels a bit selfish, like,
I only want what you love.
yeah,
Because that's because the way you're going to talk about it is what brings me in.
yeah,
When
exactly.
one year, and I want to hear more, sorry to interrupt you. We were in France. We rented a house in the Loire Valley for a month, and there was one restaurant, one boulangerie, one church, one bar, one epicerie, and 30 wineries in this teeny tiny village. And every single winemaker believed they were making the best wine in all of the region. And it's like,
Yeah,
I only want to drink that guy's wine, and then that guy's, and I don't want whoever thinks they're number 4. That's
yeah,
terrible.
exactly.
So I
Exactly.
love that you are so true to yourself to
Yeah.
not do what is easily searchable. You're doing what's in alignment.
Yeah. And I think that comes through in how we design the experiences on tour. So, I was telling the story the other day. If we don't look for, the big winery with the big brand and the most amazing wine that won some award last year. No, it's the little family who are fighting hard to keep this amazing little winery going, who produce wonderful wine and who share their story. And it's a very local story. So I think we're always seeking out these very local experiences. And I know everyone is. But as I say, we do it with our eyes and through our hearts. And I think that's what brings the experience together for us. So, and we bring together that writing, non-writing blended, approach to look at the way we look at everything, really. But we both have an absolute passion for the food and wine, obviously the Italian culture, and I think the different regions and just how different they are. And when you really get in deep, people will say to us when we leave Australia, do you get sick of eating Italian food for 6 months? It's like, are you serious? Like, and what is Italian food anyway? Because actually every region is so different.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it's a lot of those subtleties that we really try to bring out in the way that we create our tour experiences.
Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. Of course, everyone's going to rush to your website, but I'm really eager to hear. Can you give me an example of, like, are they 7 days? Are they 4 days? Are they 14 days? How long are they?
Yes.
And what does everyone stay at the same place and you do day trips from there, or are you moving along the route? Tell me
Yeah.
everything.
So the tours vary depending on geography and place. So we have most tours around 7 days. Some are 6 days and some are 9 days. So it really
Sure.
just depends. And we're actually about to create some shorter experience as well. So people could, for example, our tour of Sicily is a 9-day coast to coast tour,
Oh,
which is a
cool.
experience, but not everybody can afford 9 days, or not everybody wants to do 9 days. So we're going to offer it as a 4-day and a 5-day. So we're trying to look at new ways to offer our programs as well. And the way it works is it is a full package tour. So we generally, and bringing ourselves into this, I don't like moving every day at all. I find that really unsettling. I find there's no immersion in that whatsoever. Like, you can hardly see a town in 3 hours.
Yeah.
So we try to stay in places for as long as we can. Most tours would be 2 to 3 accommodations over the course of 7 nights. A couple have an extra one to that because of the geography and the way that it works. But generally, I really love to stay in places at least 2 nights. And yeah, so a typical day is, we get up in the morning and all enjoy breakfast together. And then the riders go out on their daily program. And a day is generally about 9 till 3. It's about a 6-hour experience out on the road for the riders. And, they'll stop for a coffee and stop for lunch at some little osteria that
Right.
Damien.
It's Italy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And some regions are much more, create much better experiences than others, actually. It's really quite interesting how different the different regions are in terms of what they offer for, daytime osterias and little panini places. And yeah, it's quite incredible how different they all are. And then I lead the non-riders and I take the non-riders out on a range of different experiences, which can be from hikes in nature, through to cooking classes, through to cultural experiences such as, a walking tour in a beautiful town with a guide. So I'm not always delivering the tour. I'm using lots of partners and guides across the way. One thing I really love is introducing people to the whole the philosophy of food in Italy. So wherever I can meet producers and take them to, olive oil producers and have people experience what sits behind, this amazing bottle of what is really medicine in Italy.
Yes.
Is for me something that I really want people to be able to take things away from the country. So take home some recipes or take home how to choose the best olive oil when you're back, those types of experiences.
Yes.
Meaningful for our life. Not just seeing things and not just hearing things and learning stats about how old some building is or what have you, actually really getting in and experiencing a place. So that's really what the non-riding program is about. And often we'll have riders say, oh, gee, what are you doing today? Because I love what you guys do. And we do have riders sometimes, switch between riding and non-riding, which is absolutely fine. The hardcore cyclists always stick to the bike, but we do have some that try to, they switch between both programs. And so that flexibility is really nice as well. And then we come together, we usually have a couple of hours off in the afternoon and have optional experiences like wine tastings or visits to thermal pools or things like that. And then we come together for aperitivo and dinner every night. And yeah, I think probably the thing that Damien and I most or spend a lot of time on is this creating a very diverse food and wine experience. And we say it's almost like a tour within the tour.
Right.
Yeah, it's so important to us that people really get a sense of the diversity and try things that they might not try themselves. Often is the case. So trying to introduce people very much to, new and different foods in the regions is really important.
Oh my gosh, it's so dreamy. How many people are typically on the tour?
Yeah, so maximum 14.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, and that's very deliberate in design because for us, that feels like the right size group to be able to manage and work with really well. Like, we can all sit around one table at night, that kind of experience. So I think for us, it's just really important to keep it balanced and not get too big that it just becomes, small groups, and not be too small that conversations get a bit boring because you're talking to the same people all the time. So yeah, we find that's a really nice mix and nice size group, 14. And generally it would be made up of maybe 8 to 9 riders and 3 to 4 to 5 non-riders. Sometimes, a little bit different to that, maybe only 2 non-riders and mostly riders. So it really depends on the region. But we're just finding it's really resonating with people that, they can travel together and have this experience together, but not necessarily have to be, both cyclists. And
right. And are people typically coupled or do single people?
Yeah, so we have quite a lot of single people as well. Yeah, definitely. But we do have a lot of couples, a lot of friends. So a couple of friends. We also have father and son combinations,
Oh,
and
neat. Okay.
mother and daughter. Yeah. So
Sure.
we had a gorgeous woman. They've been on 3 tours with us, her and her mum. And her mum had never been to Italy before. And she brought her on a tour, and she's just this lovely woman. And so they've been back for 3 tours. And yeah, so it's a really nice experience because there's just different ages. Sometimes people will say, what's the average age? And, it is around the mid-50s kind of age group is the mid, often, into the 60s and 70s, absolutely. Cyclists are amazing in terms of how long they can ride a bike for into their later years and how much their passion, can see them through their later years. So we have some amazing people, that are older and some younger people. And so generally I would say somewhere around the 50 to 55 mark is about the age group.
It's so fun. I want to go. I'm not a cyclist, so I have to find a cyclist so that it doesn't just, I want to just do your non-cycling track and just hang out with you guys because you're amazing.
Although we're creating some new experiences for next year. Yeah, which you don't need to be a cyclist at all, but
Perfect.
I guess you need to be active because they're going to
Yes,
be,
of course.
but generally, different range of activities from hikes to yoga and a whole range of different, kayaking and what have you. So we're just really looking to deliver that very active adventure. Cycling will
Yes.
be an option on those tours because I think that's the heart of what we do. But we really want to be able to create these experiences beyond the bike. And I mean, we do it today. And we don't want to limit it to people that just have a partner who's a cyclist or they're a cyclist themselves. So, yeah, it's an exciting time of creating new for some new audiences.
Oh, that's so great. I love that because I love to work for it during the day, but then I want a beautiful bed and a delicious meal with really good wine. I don't
Absolutely.
want to work for it and then sleep in a tent.
No,
That does
no,
not delight me at all.
no. And nor do I, as I said, want to pack up my bag every day. Like,
Right.
I want to take my toiletries out and I want to, settle in a little bit. So,
Right.
yeah, I do think some of those little luxuries, little feelings of feeling like, oh, I can settle in here for a little bit, is an important part of the experience that, yeah, we just don't want to be fit. Well, don't want people to feel rushed. So, coming back to that, there's a lot of cycling tours where they call it point to point and,
Mm.
get up and go every day, and that's what it's all about. And that's wonderful. That's for a certain type of person. That's not really our audience. And so, yeah, as I
Oh my
said, we're
gosh.
probably mostly developing as a mirror of ourselves and who we are
Mhm.
and what we love. And yeah,
Which is perfect.
yeah,
That's the niche.
yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. I could talk to you all day. I would rather be talking to you all day in Italy,
Yeah,
tasting olive oil and drinking delicious wine and watching the gorgeous scenery. Thank
yeah.
you so much for your time. I know this is not the last conversation we're going to have because I'm totally obsessed with your beautiful life as well as my beautiful life. So thank you so much for being here, Nancy. Tell everyone where they can find and follow you, how they can sign up for your tours, all the good things.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Also, I've loved the conversation. So people can find us on our website is our best resource, which is www.acuto cycling.com. And we're also on Instagram with our handle being Acuto Cycling and Facebook. And if they want to reach me personally, I'm also on LinkedIn as Nancy De Losa. Yeah, so lots of places to reach us, but definitely our website is the best resource for finding out more about our tours.
Perfect. Well, we will link everything down in the show notes. But thank you again so much. This was really, really fun.
Thank you, Wendy. I've really enjoyed it and look forward to reconnecting soon.
Yes. I hope you enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. As always, any links or notes mentioned can be found at phineaswrighthouse.com in the podcast section of our site or in the show notes below. And if you haven't connected with me personally, come find me on Instagram at Phineas Wright House and let me know you listened to this episode. I'd love to get to know you. Thank you for sharing this time with me. I know your days are full, and I'm really grateful that you chose to spend some of your precious time right here. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any of these delightful conversations. I'll see you next week.